If you're considering the Legion Pro 5i or the Pro 7i, you found the right video. We're going to walk through the usability, the features, and the performance of both devices head to head to see which one is right for you. And at the end of this video, I hope to have helped you made the right buying decision. Now, before we get started, comment below right now and let me know which one you're leaning towards at the beginning of the video versus which one you decide may be the right one for you at the end of the video. So let's see if your mind stays the same or if your mind changes. I want to thank Lenovo and Intel for sponsoring this video and letting us know about their Gamer Day sale going on right now at Lenovo.com. You can snag a discount on Lenovo Legion towers or laptops in a bunch of different configurations. You can even stack the sale price with an additional 10% off using the discount code GAMERDAYS24. Move quickly because the sale ends in September. You can click the link below in the description to check out the deals happening right now over at Lenovo.com. Now, first and foremost, let's dive into the basic features and functionality of each device. Now, they both have very, very similar looking builds on the outset. We have a similar looking display, the exact same keyboard, trackpad placement, everything looks very, very similar. However, there are some nuanced differences, starting with the build materials used. We have an aluminum top cover on the Pro 5i, and we have an aluminum top cover on the Pro 7i. However, the Pro 7i is ever so slightly thinner than the Pro 5i. Keep that in mind. Now, as we look at the bottom cover of the laptops, we're going to have an aluminum bottom cover on the Pro 7i and a plastic bottom cover on the bottom of the Pro 5i. So keep that in mind. So as far as the build materials, there's going to be slightly nicer build materials on the Pro 7i. Now, as we go ahead and we open up to the interior of the laptop, both of the laptops are going to have plastic keyboard decks. Now, as we look at the wrapper around the outside of each of the devices, you can see here that on the Pro 7i, there's almost this like little tiny shelf that is in place here for the vent wrapper, right? The thing that covers the vents on the chassis. Whereas on the Pro 5i, it's kind of like built in and kind of slopes down and is more of an integrated piece of plastic. Now, they're both plastic, but you can see that this is a bit more of a shiny plastic, where this is a bit more of like a matte finish spray painted looking plastic. Let me see if I can get you a little bit more up close and tight with that. So you can see there, difference in the material that wraps the vents. Now, we're going to have the same ports, right? So if I flip this laptop over, we're going to have the exact same ports. USB Type A, cutoff switch for the webcam, and then your headphone jack. Flipping it completely over, you're going to see the same thing, USB A, USB C. And then on the back side, we're going to see the same port selection as well. Power adapter, USB A's, HDMI, USB-C network port. Now, I want to point out one small difference here on the speaker grill. You can see on the Pro 5i, we have these like slanted speaker grills, and we still have them slanted, but there's like more and they're smaller. So kind of a difference there for how the speakers come out of the bottom of the laptop. Well, kind of like the bottom side panel area. Now, let's give you a quick sample of that since we just talked about it. Here's an audio sample coming out of each of the speakers on the Pro 5i and the Pro 7i. Also, one note, the color is ever so slightly darker on the Pro 7i as compared to the Pro 5i. So they're not quite the same. Even if I switch them over, so you can see that one looks darker. You can see I switch them over and you can still see that this is a darker color, even with the, the whole like, which one is bigger, which one is smaller when you switch them like positions. You can see that this is slightly darker than the Pro 5i. So that's just from a color standpoint, design standpoint, the difference. Now, I have not wiped these laptops down on purpose before doing the review because I wanted to show you over the past few months of usage what the fingerprints are like on the devices. I did not wipe them so you could see over the past couple of weeks and months how these devices have been on a fingerprint level. Not real bad. They're dark devices and they still have minimal fingerprints on the top covers, which is nice. Pulling up the laptops, as I mentioned earlier, that the Pro 7i is slightly thinner. However, it is a bit heavier at around 6 pounds versus about 5.5 pounds for the Pro 5i. Now let's add on top of that the charger block, and we add a bit more weight to the device. The weight and thickness is going to come up on the screen now for each of the laptops with the charger block and charger cord. However, I'm not showing the charger cord here in the video. Keep in mind that we have a 330 watt charger block and a 300 watt charger block for the Pro 5i. Keep in mind we have a 330 watt charger block for the Pro 7i, 300 for the Pro 5i. That's the charger blocks that were shipped in the packaging that I received for these devices. And it's weird because the 300 watt charger block is their older design and it's a little bit bigger, as you can see, than the 330. It's about the same thickness, but it's a little bit bigger on a form factor standpoint. So you get a little bit more premium charger block when you get the Pro 7i, and it's a little bit more wattage because we have a 4080 inside of the Pro 7i. We have the 4070 inside of the Pro 5i. So you can get the Pro 5i in a 4060 or a 4070. You can get the Legion Pro 7i in a 4080 or 4090. The prices are actually quite a bit different. Again, I'll put live pricing in the description below, so you can click there and check the live pricing. However, the pricing that currently resides as I'm recording this video, Pro 7i that I have before me is equipped with the 14900HX and the RTX 4080 with 32 gigs of RAM. That comes in at $3,020. For the Legion Pro 5i, it comes with the i7 14700HX. Keep in mind, you could also upgrade it to the 14900HX if you so chose. But the model I have is this i7, 16 gigs of RAM, and the RTX 4070. That comes in at $1,759. So a little bit more than saying half the price. That's quite a big difference in spend. So later in the video, we'll see if the performance makes up for that much of an upgrade. And we'll also look at a few more features for the reason why that is a bit more of a premium price point. One of the main reasons is going to be the display. Looking at the displays, we have what looks to be the same displays, but there are some differences between them. Now, I love that they are matte displays, so no reflectiveness. When you're in a bright room, you see a reflection and it really distracts you. I love the matte finish. For the Pro 5i, you can choose between two displays, base display and upgraded. For the model I have, we have the base display, which provides you with a 2560 by 1600 resolution at 165 hertz refresh rate. Now, according to my testing, we're able to reach 298 nits of screen brightness at 100% sRGB, 78% Adobe RGB, and 79% DCI-P3 at a delta E of 1.25. Now, for the Pro 7i, it is a 2560 by 1600 resolution at 240 hertz refresh rate. It can reach a screen brightness of 502 nits at 100% sRGB, 91% Adobe RGB, and 100% DCI-P3 at a delta E of 0.97. So the screen is going to be better on the Pro 7i across the board. However, if you order from Lenovo, you have some options to upgrade the screen to the higher quality display. On Lenovo's website, for $25 more, you can upgrade to the 100% DCI-P3 display and that 500 nits of screen brightness. So keep in mind, if you want to have a nicer display, it's only $25, which is actually pretty awesome when you think about that. So you could upgrade the display for an extra $25, or you could spend almost double the money for the Pro 7i. So far, the Pro 5i is the better bang for buck, outside of the fact that we did have a plastic bottom cover rather than the aluminum bottom cover on the Pro 7i. Now, from a design or visual standpoint, the Pro 7i does come with the fancy RGB bar on the front of the laptop. Woo! Do you like it? Do you not? Do you not care? Personally, I think it's pretty cool, but it's not a deal breaker for me, and I wouldn't pay, $800 to have RGB on the front of my laptop, just being totally honest. But the performance might be the make or break thing for you. So we'll get to that in just a minute. We're getting close. Now, in regards to battery life, we have an 80 watt-hour battery in the Legion Pro 5i and a 99.99 watt-hour battery in the Pro 7i. So battery life is going to be an advantage to you on the Pro 7i, about 7 hours of productivity and streaming playback battery life versus the Legion Pro 5i, which only has about 5 hours of streaming video playback and productivity. So if you're looking for battery life, the Pro 7i is going to be an advantage to you by about 2 hours of extra battery life, so keep that in mind. Now, both devices do have the exact same webcam, but just so you can see them, here's a sample of each of them so you can see what they hear and sound like for yourself. This is a sample of the webcam on the 2024 Lenovo Legion Pro 5 and a little sample of the audio for you as well. This is the webcam on the Lenovo Legion Pro 7i from 2024 and a little sample of the audio for you as well. Now, before we get into the keyboard, let's go ahead and just quickly look at the screen bounce on each of these devices, see if there's any differences here. These are great for screen bounce. They almost have no bounce, which is awesome. Screen flex, they do have a bit of screen flex, but overall they have good rigidity. Very similar between the two devices, but that bounce, I mean, just barely bounces. That's amazing. Okay, let's go ahead and check out the keyboards. Exact same keyboard between the two. You can see we have the nice dished keys. Feels great on my fingers. They're quiet keys. Type very quietly. It's the exact same keyboard. That's what's amazing between the Pro 7i or the Pro 5i. You're not losing any sort of build quality or material quality between the two. Numpad on the right side for both of them. Full-size shift keys, full-size arrow keys. It's fantastic. Now, the one area that is different about these two devices is that you actually have brightness control for the keyboard here, which is interesting because you don't have brightness control here for the keyboard. You're literally just, functioning through whether you want to use the keyboard or not. And you can't turn the brightness up or down with these keys. But you can toggle through and turn the brightness off, but you can't turn it up or down. So that's a function that is available to you on the Pro 7i that's not available on the Pro 5i from the keyboard deck. The trackpads have a slightly different appearance. The Pro 5i has more of a sparkly material used. It's a silver kind of sparkle material. Sparkle might be the wrong word, it's almost like, that metallic looking paint, on cars where it's not dull. It's more of that, I don't even know what that's called. It's like on my old Subaru, it was called Obsidian Black. So it was had some specks, some sparkle specks in it. So that's the vibe on the Pro 5i trackpad. Whereas the Pro 7i is a matte black trackpad, very simple material. But you can feel the difference. This one does have a little bit more of that glossy feel, where the Pro 7i is a little bit more of that matte feel. They both sound the same though. Both very well secured to the chassis, good trackpad construction. Here's a sample of me using the keyboards and trackpads so you can hear how they sound for yourself. Now let's go ahead and get to the performance of these laptops, and let's talk about the fan noise and thermals first. So I have the Legion Pro 5i opened up in Photoshop, and as you can see, it's around 33 to 35 decibels of fan noise. There's a slight fan going on. It's on silent mode in the Lenovo Vantage Center, so check it out. About 31 to 34 decibels. So let's go ahead and start the export. I'm looking at the Celsius right now on the CPU. It's about 43 to 47 degrees Celsius. So let's go ahead and kick on that export now for the Legion Pro 5i. Still have the minimal 33 decibels of fan noise. I wanted to run it on quiet mode to see how well the system would manage an export from thermal and fan noise standpoint. We're up to about 52 to 55 degrees Celsius, but we still have minimal fan noise, so we haven't had the fan kick on yet to cool the system. So you can see as we're nearing the end of the export, it was about 33 to 35 decibels, and we're hanging more around the 50 to 60 degrees Celsius range. But still, that fan noise has kept low. The system has done a really good job staying cool and quiet. Remember, this is on silent mode. I wanted to test the system's ability to do this all under, a good export time, but then still have the noise and thermals be mitigated, and the system's doing really well handling it. All right, so the export's complete. Let's now move on to the Legion Pro 7i. Now, when I started up Premiere Pro, we saw about 43 to 45 degrees Celsius on the CPU and about a 31 to 34 decibels of fan noise out of the system. Now we're about 78% through the export, and we still have that same fan noise with a little bit of an increase from anywhere from about 48 to 51 degrees Celsius. So you can see here's the fan noise right now. So you see 33, 34 decibels of fan noise, still maintaining that below or right at 50 degrees Celsius. So it's doing a really great job maintaining temperature, giving us a good export time. It's been about a 3-minute and 30-second export time on silent mode for this 9-minute 4K clip. So overall, the performance is handling very well. It's mitigating the temperatures and the fan noise. So it'll be a very comfortable editing experience, especially during the export time. Now, if I let these systems loose, plug them into the chargers, go high performance mode, you'll see 56 plus decibels of fan noise, and you'll see at least 80 degrees Celsius on average from each of the devices. Now you'll get the fast export times that you're going to see during the benchmark results, 2 minutes and 14 seconds for the Pro 5i, 2 minutes and 4 seconds for the Legion Pro 7i, spoiler alert. However, you will not get this nice quiet experience at the cool temperatures as you would on silent mode. Now let's look at the simulated benchmarks. And because I'm looking at the i7 versus the i9, you can see that we do have a lot more multi-core potential out of the i9. So if you're somebody who's a big multitasker, you have lots of programs open at once, you have a lot of Google Chrome tabs open, maybe you have tons of layers inside of Photoshop or a 3D modeling project, you need the multi-core processing, the i9 is going to be advantageous to you. So that is definitely an advantage from the simulated benchmark perspective on shining a light into the performance. Now let's move on to the 3D modeling. Remember, we have an RTX 4070 versus an RTX 4080, i7 versus i9, 32 gigs of RAM versus 16 gigs of RAM. I wanted to come at you with the more base model for the Pro 5i versus the base model for the Pro 7i. So that is what we're looking at here. When we go ahead and take a look at the 3D modeling benchmarks, you can see that there is a firm advantage by going with the RTX 4080. The RTX 4070 is definitely keeping pace. But the reason I went to go with the RTX 4070 versus the 4060 that is available in the Pro 5i is the fact that the 4060 is a good GPU, but I would say the 4070 is the best bang for buck. And I think you're seeing that here, especially when you consider the price point between these two devices, that the 4070 is a real winner in bang for buck category. Now, moving on into Photoshop, you can see that we have a 7,942 versus the 6,576. Now, a little bit of light shining in on the Photoshop score. The unfair advantage of this laptop is definitely going to be the fact that you have 32 gigs of RAM versus 16 gigs of RAM. Let's say you upgraded the Legion Pro 5i to 32 gigs of RAM. I would say you could easily anticipate around 7,000 to 7,200 for the Photoshop score. Photoshop eats up RAM, absolutely loves RAM. And so if you want to make an upgrade to really any laptop in regards to Photoshop, go for 32 gigs of RAM above 16. That's really where a lot of the big advantage is coming from. Now, the i9 processor is definitely helping in the multitasking situation in regards to Photoshop. So that does give it a boost as well. But overall, RAM is a really important factor in better performance inside of Photoshop. Okay, let's move on to video editing. You can see the 4K export. We have a 9-minute 4K clip placed into Premiere Pro, export out at full quality 4K settings. 2 minutes and 4 seconds from the Legion Pro 7i, 2 minutes and 14 seconds from the Pro 5i. Very nominal difference. Now we go on to 6K BRAW export. That's a 9-minute 6K BRAW clip placed in a Premiere Pro, exported out at full quality 6K settings. Definitely an advantage by going with the Pro 7i. 11 minutes versus 16 minutes, so 5 minutes. Now let's extrapolate that over an hour project at 5 minutes. So we're looking at an extra 50 minutes to export the project if you're going to choose the Pro 5i versus the Pro 7i, RTX 4070 versus RTX 4080. So keep in mind, if you're doing longer projects and longer timelines, it may be an advantage to you to have more performance. But if you're doing shorter things, a couple minutes is not a huge deal if you're dealing with shorter projects. Personally, I would not find the need to have the export time shortened by that much because most of my projects are going to be anywhere from about 8 minutes to 15 minutes. That's the export's length, is the length of project I'm exporting. Looking at playback, on the other hand, you can see that we have 0 drop frames for 4K playback out of the 16,177 in the project. For the Legion Pro 5i, 327, that's 4K for the Legion Pro 5i, 6K BRAW, 327 drop frames, 6K red footage, 553. Extremely respectable drop frames results. However, the Legion Pro 7i comes in with the hammer and says, I'll handle 6K and I'll handle 8K. So if you're looking at shooting 8K, I would go for the Legion Pro 7i. It's only going to have 2,945 drop frames for 8K BRAW. That's incredible. And 3,152 for 8K red footage. So it really isn't a competition. For 8K, the 7i is going to be the choice with the RTX 4080. The biggest advantage for choosing the Pro 7i is going to be the aluminum bottom cover, the fact that you can get an RTX 4080, and that the 100% DCI-P3 color accuracy comes automatically on every single device. So if you go to a website and you can't figure out, oh no, is that 100% DCI-P3 for the Pro 5i? It's not listed in the listing. You can be confident that all the devices are going to come with the specific display of the 7i. There's no other options. So if you want the 100% DCI-P3, you'd go to Lenovo's website, check it in the ordering form, and then purchase it, and you'd be confident that you're getting that. Now, another advantage is going to be the wonderful, exciting RGB lighting on the front of the device. It's absolutely beautiful. But other than that, they are very comparable devices. I would say the best bang for buck is going to be the Legion Pro 5i. There are some things that are going to make the Legion Pro 7i advantageous. Where your money is going to be most well utilized is the Pro 5i. Let me know. Comment below if your decision has changed from watching this video or if you're still locked in on the device that you were interested in before. Links are in the description if you're ready to make a purchase. It would be an honor if you'd use those links. It supports my channel, keeps it alive, and keeps the helpful content coming your way. If you're still trying to make a decision, I have tons of videos to help you through buying a decision. You can look or tap the screen here, and that'll help you out. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.